been in Nepal for 6 years now. For people unfamiliar with the country, can you just briefly introduce it to us?
Yeah, so Nepal is a wonderful little country, about a quarter the size of California, nestled up in the Himalayan mountains, just north of India, south of China. A very isolated country, a very remote location with all those mountains around it. A very diverse country. There's almost 120 languages spoken in Nepal, so a very beautiful place, but also isolated and diverse. I am part of our group of missionaries that do focus on health because I am a conservation biologist, so I work in water sanitation and hygiene and in community health. I'm working in Nepal with an ecumenical organization known as the United Mission to Nepal. And we were founding members of the United Mission to Nepal 65 years ago. United Mission to Nepal now has 35 international partners. And we work broadly in 5 different program areas, health being one of them. We do operate 2 hospitals, as well as doing community-based health. We work in education, in sustainable livelihoods, in peace building, and in church and community mobilization. So those are our programmatic areas. And I do work with our health team in community health. I've worked a lot in the last 3 years also with our education team, particularly in parenting education, and also working with the schools with what we call child clubs. Those are youth groups for 10 to 16-year-olds, and also with our churches in the youth groups of the churches in Nepal, particularly with our adolescent sexual reproductive health and rights program. One of the challenges that I've experienced in Nepal, as opposed to when I was in Cambodia for the previous 5-6 years, is the challenge in access. It is very difficult to get out to a lot of these villages. I'm walking 2 to 10 hours after we've driven 3 to 6 hours on dirt roads in the Jeep. And it's not just challenging for me, it's challenging for the Nepali community, it's challenging for those teachers, those health workers who are trying to get out to the communities to provide services as well, and making sure that services are available as close to villages as possible, in villages, in those outreach clinics, as well as at health posts, in elementary schools, as well as in middle schools, in those remote areas. And so that access to services is a real challenge. And then if you have special needs, getting out to the urban centers. If you've never left your village, how can you take your child who has clubfoot down to Nepalganj, to the hospital there where they can be fitted for a boot if you've never left your village? And so the work of accompanying people on that journey, providing support in transportation, support in linking them into the services that are available, but through those challenges of being so remotely located, I'd say is one of the biggest challenges in Nepal.
In working with women and adolescents, though, what are there cultural issues that you need to address? What kind of is the nature of the work that you do in resourcing the women and adolescent girls?
Yeah, so whenever we work with groups, particularly in Nepal, but I think everywhere in the world, it's important to approach our work from a dialectical perspective, from a chance of getting together as a group of women and having conversations to really come to be able to articulate our own situation, our own values, the environment in which we find ourselves. And so when we make plans as a community, those plans come from a place of knowing ourselves and knowing our community. I really love participatory research. That's part of what I do as a scientist in water microbiology and analyzing the community water systems in a participatory way. But it's also what we do as a group. As we share the stories of our own lives, as we share the stories of our faith, of our community, we come to be able to articulate our values. and we can understand how those values have impacted our actions in the past and how they might impact them in the future. And as we try to address some cultural challenges, there's lots of purity laws in Nepal, or purity customs in Nepal that do impact women. And so rather than saying, oh, it's harmful if you force women to stay outside in the cowshed during their menstruation period, that's not going to be as empowering or as effective as if we can sit together with women and understand that, you know, if you are the one collecting the firewood and doing all the cooking and all of the labor that women do, that having a little rest time during your menses is wonderful. But how can we do that in ways that preserve the dignity of women and create space for having those kinds of conversations so that as a community we can embrace our values and we can move forward in ways that promote dignity as well as promote those cultural values that we do hold and we do cherish. And so those are the ways in which I hope that all of our conversations, whether it is on adolescent sexual reproductive health, peer pressure, gender equity, gender-based violence, all of these important dialogue conversations can help us to move forward as a community. Sometimes when that's something like family planning, we have to do it separately. We have our Men as Partners group, men who've had vasectomies, leading the way of overcoming stereotypes and prejudices around that to help other men be fully engaged in family planning. Having conversations with women also about modern contraceptives and long-acting family planning methods, and then bringing couples together, bringing in those traditional religious leaders, and having those community-based discussions that help us bring our community to where we want it to be.
You are there as a Christian missionary. Nepal has just a small percentage of Christians, as I understand it. What is the relationship that you have with the government as a Christian, as a representative of a Christian organization?
Yeah, so it is a challenge to be in Nepal as a Christian in an open way, but that is a commitment that we have made as the United Mission to Nepal to own our identity as an organization where our values are inspired by the life and teachings of Jesus Christ, and where we are in partnership with the Christian community around the world as we work for peace and justice, as we work to address the root causes of poverty, and as we are present there in Nepal as a witness to the way that we live in relationship when we allow Christ to transform our lives. So that is, I think, a very special position that we have as a 65-year-old organization in Nepal. But we're also very clear that we are not there to proselytize. We are not there to take leadership in any of the Christian churches. The church in Nepal is about 1% to 2% of the population. That is a church that has been evangelized by Nepalis, that is led by Nepalis. And as the international Christian community, we are there in solidarity, as an open witness to the global Christian presence, but not to take leadership and not to proselytize, and to work equally with all Nepalis, regardless of race, religion, creed, caste, any of those factors that seek to divide us. We work equally with everyone in Nepal.
You are back in the United States for how long?
I am back in the U.S. on my every 3-year itineration schedule. Methodists, we love to itinerate, to move folks around in lots of different ways. And this is an opportunity for me to come back and connect with churches that have been supporting this work, to make new relationships. So I will be visiting churches here in the California-Nevada Conference at the end of May and through June. And I'll also be at the Mission U events in July and August as well. So I'm really looking forward to lots of opportunities to connect, to say thank you, to give those in-person updates, and also to make new connections with congregations.
And how would you like us to support you better?
Well, prayer is really the foundation of support in the United Methodist Church. And so I do ask for your prayers for me to have the energy to make it around, to have the energy to walk to those villages in Nepal, but also to pray for the people of Nepal, to pray for them to understand the changes that are going on in their country right now, and the ways that they can be more fully engaged in creating fullness of life for all, and through personal transformation, transforming their own society as well. So pray for that John 10:10 promise to be realized in Nepal. There's also opportunities to support financially. The Advance is the designated giving arm of our United Methodist Church. And it's an amazing program. It allows you to write a check to your local congregation, put that advance number on it. Advance 15187Z is the advance number that supports me to be present in Nepal. You can also go online at givetomission.org and give that way. It's great. The Advance staff come out to Nepal every couple years to audit us and make sure that everything is going right. I get a great report of all the donors, and it's a wonderful system of accountability. But also, because of your gifts through Encore Sunday and through the general church, 100% of what you give through the Advance actually comes directly to support these programs and to support my work.
We're so glad to have you home for a while.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to visit with you, and we will include you in our prayers. Continue to. So, thank you, Catherine.
Jamasi.
Jamasi.
In Nepal, in the Christian community, we greet each other with these special words. Jamasi means hail to the Messiah. And so as one Christian to another, I greet you in the Nepali Christian greeting of Jamasi.